we're going to be doing the test review. I'm going to try to make this short and sweet. It's probably going to take a little while to go through 10 questions, so bear with me. Number one, select all the pair of operations that have the inverse. Inverse means the opposite. So when I look at this, I know that multiplication is not the opposite of addition, but subtraction is. So B will be one of them. Let's look at the rest of them. Subtraction, division. Well, that's not right. Addition is the opposite of subtraction. Division, addition. Well, multiplication is the opposite of division. And here we go, multiplication, division. So B and E will be the correct answers for the inverse relationships. Number two says Cheyenne paid $205.99 for a game system and then bought 4 equally priced games. She spent a total of $294.95. Well, that tells me that everything has to equal $294.95. And if I go ahead and solve this, I would have to say, since the game system was $205, I know I'm going to pay that amount, and I won't be paying it more than once. So I'll just put it in there one time. Then all the games that I'm going to have to pay, there's 4 of them. And I don't know what the price is, but I know I'm going to have to pay 4 times that amount and add it to the gaming system. So 4P plus 205.99 equals 294.95 should be what I'm looking for. And I see right here on B, that's, oh, nope, take it back. These are both equaling 205. That eliminates that. Here we go, 4P plus 205 has to be C, equals 294.95. Now it wants us to solve it, and if I solve it, I know I have to use PEMDAS backwards. This is multiplication, so I'm not going to do that first. I'm going to do addition and subtraction first. So I'm going to have to do the inverse, which is subtracting 205.99. Whatever I do to one side, I do the other. And that's going to give me 4P is going to be equal to, well, let's see. I have to borrow one here, here, and here. This is going to turn to 8. Let's see. If I borrow one here, it's going to be 13. If I borrow one here, it's going to be 18. That'll leave me my 15 here. 15 minus 9 is 6. 18 minus 9 is 9. This is going to be 13 minus 5 is 8. And this will be 8. And so 4P has to equal 88.96. I could do that division problem, but I'm just going to go ahead and use the calculator for that. I've got 88.96, and I'm going to divide it by 4, and that's going to give me 22.24. When I divide by 4, it will give me 22.24. And if I look for that answer over here, I can see that's an A, so I'll just circle A. All right, let's move on to number 3. Fabian harvests 18 pounds of tomatoes for his garden. He sets aside 2.4 pounds of tomatoes to make spaghetti sauce. If he needs 2 3/5 pounds to make a batch of soup, how many batches of soup can Fabian make? Well, we know that the variable is going to be the number of batches of soup. So that's going to be multiplied to 2 3/5. But what is 2 3/5 as a decimal? Well, 2 3/5, I know is 2 and something. So I'll bring the 2 down, and now I have a fraction, 3/5, which is 3 divided by 5. I can put a decimal here and a 0, and I know 5 goes into 36 times, so it'll be 0.6. And now I know that 2.6 is what will be multiplied to my variable. We said that we were going to set aside 2.4 pounds of tomato to make spaghetti sauce. We're only doing that one time, so this has got to be 2.4. And it's going to equal 18 pounds of tomatoes. And now we can go ahead and solve our problem. If I take 2.6x and I, let's see, add 2.4, that has to equal 18. And let's see, I'm going to do PEMDAS backwards, which means I'll subtract 2.4 from both sides. Now to isolate my variable, 2.6x is going to be equal to, well, if I line up my decimal point, that's going to be 15.6. Now I have to see how many times 2.6 goes into 15.6. I think I'll use that calculator again. And 15.6 divided by 2.6 is going to equal 6. Well, that's a nice even number. So when we divide 2.6 into 2.6x, we have to remember to divide it by the other side. And we know now that x is going to equal 6. So if we solve this, this has to be 6. All right, let's go to number 4. Solve this equation. It says 4.5 times 1.25 plus x equals 18. Well, if I was to solve this, I'd realize I have to take 4.5 and multiply it to 1.25. That's going to give me, let's use our calculator again. 4.5 times 1.25 is going to equal 5.625. Well, that's going to be 5.625. And we're going to add that to 4.5 times x is 4.5x. And that has to equal 18. All right, now I've got to get rid of this 5.625. So I'll subtract it from itself, the inverse. And that means I have to subtract it from this side. I'll make sure my decimals lined up. And now I realize I'm going to have 4.5x is going to be equal, well, let's see here. We've got, we're going to have to borrow one there, and there, and there. So that's going to be 7. 10 is going to turn to 9. 10 is going to turn to 9 again, which leaves 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 2 is 7. 9 minus 6 is 3. And let's see, point. Well, this is going to be 12. So 12.376. Now I have to divide 4.5 from 4.5x. So I can get x by itself. Whatever I divide from one side, I divide from the other. So now I have 12.375 divided by 4.5. Let's try this on the calculator again. We've got 12.375. And we're going to divide it by 4.5. Well, that gives us 2.75. So that'll be A. All right, let's go ahead and scroll down. 5 friends attend a matinee movie and spend $6 per ticket. They also purchase a small bag of popcorn each. The friends spend a total of $52.50. Let X be the price of the small bag of popcorn. Well, if I do that, I realize since this is the total, everything's got to equal $52.50. That's going to eliminate A and D because only these two have equal $52.50. Next, I realize that 5 friends attend the matinee movie, spend $6 each. That means that's 5 times 6 for the movie tickets, and that's going to be $30. So, well, both of these have 30 in there. That didn't help us out too much. And then it says they also purchase a small bag of popcorn each. They don't know how much the price is for the popcorn, but we do know there's 5 friends, so we need 5 times X somewhere, and that means C has to be the right answer because it has plus 5X. How much does each bag of small popcorn cost? Well, let's solve this. We've got 30 plus 5X equals $52.50. Well, I'm going to subtract 30 from both sides. And that's going to give me 5x is equal to 2250. And now if I divide 5x by 5, so I get x alone, that means I'll have to divide 22.5 by 5. So let's do that. 22.5 divided by 5 is going to give me 4.5. So that means each bag of popcorn must be $4.50. And if I was to go ahead and do number 6, it says, on a road trip, family drives 450 miles per day. How many days must they travel to reach a distance of at least 2,700? Well, for it to be at least, it means I'm going to get to this or more. So this has to be more than or equal to. Now, to solve that inequality, well, if I was to do that, I realize I'm going to have to divide 450 from 450d. Whatever I divide from one side, I divide from the other. Now I need to take 2,700 and divide it by 450. And that's going to give me 6. Well, that was obvious, wasn't it? All these equal 6. But now I've got to use my sign, because this is going to be d once these are eliminated. And I didn't divide or multiply by negative numbers, so my sign stays the same. So d has to be greater than 6. The only one that fits that is, since it's got to be equal to it as well, is b. Let's move down to number 7. Natalie budgets $176 for yoga training. She bought a yoga mat for $15 and spends $11 per day on yoga classes. So let's look at this. She budgets this, which means she can't go over that amount. So that means it's going to be less than or equal to $176. Let's see if any of these fit there, right there and right here. So we know this is eliminated, and we know this one is eliminated. Has to be B or D. Let's see which one it is. It says she buys a yoga mat for $15, but she doesn't buy a bunch of yoga mats. She only buys one. So that's going to be adding $15 to something. And then she says she spends $11 per day on yoga classes. So $11 times the number of days that she goes. So it's going to be 176 is greater than or equal to 11D plus 15. 176 is greater than or equal to 11D plus 15. Looks like it's B. Yeah, because this one is got 15 and 11 reversed, and that wouldn't be correct because we bought a mat just one time for $15. We didn't buy multiple mats, so we don't need to multiply it to a variable. Let's go to number 8. Xander needs to collect at least 150 cans for a food drive to earn a community service credit. He already has 92, so we know that he needs at least 150. So that tells me at least means I can get more than or equal to that. So I need something that says more than or equal to 150. This one says more than or equal to, and these don't even have 150. So I know this is going to be A. I'm going to follow it through just to go ahead and make sure. But it says he already has 92 cans. So that means we've already got 92. And we're going to find out how much we're going to add to that in order to get it. So x plus 92 is greater than or equal to 150. X plus 92 is greater than or equal to 150. Now let's solve it. Well, the only thing I have to do to solve this is get rid of that 92. To get rid of the 92, I introduce it to its inverse, which is negative 92. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Now I see that x is going to be greater than or equal to 50. Let's see, this is borrowing 11458. Yeah. So when I look for it, I see that x is greater than or equal to 58. A has to be correct. But now let's go ahead and pick B for the number line. Well, if x is greater than or equal to 58, first of all, I'll need a dot. All of these have dots, so that fits the bill. Has to be on 58. two of these are negative 58, so that won't work. It has to be A or B. And since x is bigger, it has to be B because it shows all the things that are bigger than 58. We're moving on to number 9. Use the properties of equality to find the value of x in the solution. If I do this, I have 4 times 5, which is 20x. I have 4 times negative 6.5, which would be negative 26. And that's going to equal 34. Well, now that I know this, I'm going to have to add the inverse of negative 26, which is 26. Now I've got 20x is going to be equal to, well, 4 plus 6 is 0. Here the 1, that's 4, 5, 6, 60. And now I can divide 20 from x to get x by itself, which is what I need, my variable alone. Whatever I divide from one side, I divide from the other, and 60 divided by 20, well, that's going to equal 3. So I'll look over here at B, x equals 3 is correct. And the last one says use the properties of inequality to find the value of x. If I do this, I have negative 2x is plus 7 is greater than negative 15. Well, to solve this, I have to use the inverse of 7, which is negative 7. Whatever I do to one side, I'll do to the other side. And let's see here. I think we might have a little bit of a glitch here, and I'm going to correct it before we... All right, sorry about that. I had to correct a page. I seen that this was an old page that was incorrect, and I swapped it out real quick on the break there. So let's work this properly now. The opposite of negative 7 is positive 7. And I have to go ahead and add 7 to the other side. Okay. That's going to give me negative 15 plus 7, which would be negative 8. So that's going to leave me with negative 2x is greater than negative 8. Well, I have to divide negative 2 away from negative 2x so I can get x by itself. Whatever I divide from one side, I divide from the other side. And we have to remember that when we divide or multiply by a negative number, we turn our inequality symbol around. And the negative times a negative is a positive, so negative 8 divided by negative 2 is 4. So if we look over here, we see that x has to be less than 4, and that's going to give me C as an answer. All right, well, there was all the problems 1 through 10 on our review. Hope that helps you get ready for the test, and we'll see you in class.